Protests in Iran are now in their third week. People have turned out in anger over the skyrocketing cost of living there. But rights groups say a brutal crackdown on the protests have left close to 550 dead. These latest rare pictures verified from social media show body bags lined up outside a morgue in Iran over the weekend. Donald Trump now says Iran has proposed negotiations with America after the U.S. president threatened a possible military strike on Iran over the violence. Washington correspondent Fraser Jackson has more.
Well, of course, for a couple of weeks now, Donald Trump has been threatening action against Iran if protesters were killed. And it appears that many have been killed by the regime, with reports coming out of the country. But Donald Trump then on Sunday night, flying back from Florida back to the White House, said that Iran is very close to crossing his red line. But he also said that the leaders of Iran called him on Saturday and that they want to negotiate. Trump, however, warned, quote, "We may have to act before a meeting," but he did add that a meeting is being set up, at which point he then quickly ended the gaggle that was taking place on Air Force One. But the word officially coming from Iran doesn't seem to be matching that mood that Donald Trump alluded to. They are seemingly not in a negotiating mood. We can tell that from a Twitter post by the Ayatollah Khamenei that was posted a few hours ago, showing this photo of Donald Trump as a crumbling sarcophagus with the line, "The tyrants and oppressors of the world, such as Pharaoh and Nimrod, when they were at the peak of their pride, were overthrown. This one too will be overthrown." It also mentions the name of the last two Shahs of Iran as well. So rhetoric there remaining heated from the Iranian regime, despite Donald Trump's claims that they are looking to negotiate.
Well, that comes as pro-government protests are also taking place in Iran. Thousands of people turning out there. These latest pictures coming today from Iran's state television. Well, we're going to talk more about all this now with Iran expert Sina AZODI from George Washington University. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. Let's start first with those strong words from Iran's supreme leader saying Trump's an arrogant father figure who will be overthrown. Now, that doesn't really sound like Iran wants to negotiate with the U.S., as Donald Trump has claimed.
Well, we really don't know whether Iranians are in the mood for negotiations or not. One argument is that, yes, they're desperate for a need because without sanctions relief, the government cannot offer any meaningful solutions to improve this situation for the economy. On the other side, historically, Iranians are closed down to negotiations or don't show that much interest in negotiations when they're dealing with domestic unrest. And this is actually what happened in 2008, 2009, when there were riots on the streets for elections fraud. So, and President Trump often makes claims that are not really reliable. I'm not really sure if Iranians are interested to talk to the United States at this time, but overall, I would not be surprised that they'd be interested in talks at some point in the future.
These current anti-government protests are now in their third week. We also were showing there a moment ago those images from Iranian state television of the pro-government protests. What's the situation really on the ground in Iran? Are there a lot of people who do still support the government there?
The government has a base of support, but I don't think that a lot of people will support it. Some of the pictures that we've seen over the media, such as attacks on mosques and everything, we have to keep in mind that there is a religious conservative base in Iran that after viewing such images will be angrier and of course is recruited by the government, offered incentives, perks, things like that to come to the streets and chant for the government. But I don't think the majority of the society, especially the younger generation, supports the government because their ideals are, such as economic freedom, political freedom, and better relations with the outside world are not fundamentally compatible with the ideology of the Islamic Republic.
Indeed. And also, this crackdown has been particularly brutal. You have rights groups who are saying some 550 people have been killed. We're hearing of over 10,000 people arrested. Donald Trump already threatening on his end military action if the crackdown continues. Do you really see the U.S. getting involved militarily in Iran?
Well, yes, because as I've always said, President Trump is like an unguided missile which can go either way.
What?
The problem is this is a very bold statement, and I think we should give the Trump administration the credit for offering support to the Iranian people. But I'm not sure if bombing Iran would be the best solution. Some of the things that the U.S. could do is, for example, what the president actually said, and I think it would be great, is to ask Elon Musk to offer the Starlink internet to the Iranians who are cut off from communications to the outside world, or issuing a general license to the American tech companies such as Apple, Google, or Microsoft to offer technology to Iranians, again, who are trying to get, communicate with the outside world.
There's also
Um,
I was just going to
Go
jump in
ahead.
and say there's also, of course, the question of a possible regime change. Reza Pahlavi, who's a U.S.-based son of Iran's ousted Shah, is trying to position himself possibly for that role. Is he the right person for the job?
Well, he does have some base of support in the country. Outside, he does have a base of support. But I think some of the positions that he has taken in the past are contradicting his own current positions. I'll give you one example. During the June 12-day war with Israel, he refused to condemn the death of civilians in Iran, even when he was pressed by media. So again, I do want to emphasize that he does have a base of support both outside the country and inside the country. But my personal view is that his past is haunting him.
So if it were not to be him, and if there were to be some kind of regime change, if you think that that's a possibility, who might step in?
Well, that's a great question, but I don't think that the current movement in Iran has a specific a leader. Of people are listening to the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, but I think that this is mostly in to spite the Islamic Republic, which is a repressive authoritarian state killing and brutalizing its own people. But simply because they hate the Islamic Republic does not mean that, in my view, that the Crown Prince is a great candidate to lead Iran.
Sina, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. That's Sina AZODI from George Washington University and the author of the book, Iran and the Bomb.